Okay, here is a quick little tutorial about how to operate the sound system at Rowandale. Find the power switch on the rack, turn that on. Go to the back of the mixer, there's a switch there, flip that on. Next, you want to wait until the mixer turns on, and you can tell by the display there that it's all ready to go, and then you can turn on this switch here. This switch delays the startup for all of our amplifiers. And speaking of amplifiers, you can turn on this amplifier. This is the amplifier that makes the sound go out into the foyer speakers. Now you can load up a profile. I often use the Rowandale bass profile, so just click Setup, go to Memory, and then you'll want to select Rowandale bass, which is right there. Once you select that, you can hit recall, and then it'll ask if you want to load it up, and you do, and it says recall complete, so you just click that. So the channels load up, and sometimes they will say kick, drums, or piano, or vocal. If you want to see what the actual channel number is, you can click this button here, Alt View, and then it will show you actually what channel number it is. Otherwise, it will say kick, drum, piano, and that. Now, if you want to adjust a certain channel, you need to click Select first, and then you can do things like you can adjust the preamp gain. So depending on what the sound source is, you might have to turn up or turn down the gain, which adjusts the sensitivity of the microphone. And that's because things like a kick drum or a snare might be louder than somebody's voice, and you need the microphone to be more or less sensitive, depending on what the audio source is. And this is the fader. This is how you change the overall volume of your sound source. On every single one of these tracks is going to be a different instrument or a voice, and it's all labeled. So if you pull it down, the volume will get quieter. And if you go up, the volume will get louder. On this side of the mixer is where you would find out how to adjust the volume of each monitor that's on the stage. There's also the main volume, and there's also the mix that goes out to the foyer and also goes to the live stream. If you want to adjust what you're hearing in the main speakers, make sure you first click this mix button here, and then you can go and adjust each fader. If you want to change what's going to the foyer and also the live stream, make sure you click the mix button here, and then you can go ahead and adjust the fader, and the sound that's going to the foyer and also the live stream will be impacted, but the sound going to the master mix will not be. Likewise, it will be the same for the monitor mixes. You just make sure you click mix first, and you can adjust the monitor mixes. Here you can see the monitor mixes 1, 2, and 3. And I'm not sure how those are set up, but I think it goes left, right, back, but I'm not sure. Here's a special note. If you see HH, that means handheld, and ear, this is the microphone that goes on somebody's ear, and it goes across their face. AV, that's the input from the computer that does PowerPoint. So sometimes we might have a video that we want to play. That's how we get the sound going there. If you want to adjust the sound of a certain input, make sure you select that input by pushing the select button, and then you can adjust different things. So this is the EQ. Down here would be some of the lower bass frequencies. Up here is the higher frequencies, and in the middle are the mid-range frequencies. And what you do is you want to select a frequency to adjust by clicking on these. There's 4 different bands that you can play with. And so what you want to do is you want to select the band first, and then there are some dials over here that you can move around and adjust You can either make a frequency go louder by going above or make it quieter by going below. In this case, we see that we are cutting 1.7 decibels at 6.71 kilohertz. So it's taking out a little bit of the sibilance frequencies. Over here, you can see we're taking out 7 decibels at 68.1 hertz. So that's taking out some of the boomy sounds, mainly taking out probably puffing sounds as people breathe into the mic and cause a big sound. That's what this will be taking care of. There's also this high pass filter set at 79.4 hertz. That's this purple line here. And this high pass filter just will cut out anything that's below 79.4 hertz. Well, it gradually cuts it out actually. And that's just helpful because you don't need to have deep bass stuff on every single track. In fact, you kind of don't need it on most tracks, maybe just the kick drum and bass guitar. Now, there is a way to have a custom view of your channels. You can assign them to different layers, layer A, B, C, and D. So to adjust that, what you need to do is go to Setup, go to Control, and then Channel Assign. And you can see here how it's set up. So on layer A, you'll see that the inputs are kick, drums, piano, piano, and then channel 5, and then snare, and then 7, 8, 9. And that matches what's on the channel strip here, kick, drums, piano, piano, etc. If you would like to change what you see, because sometimes maybe you don't want to see input 5 or 7 or 8 or 9, what you can do is touch and hold the input and then drag it to where you want it to be on your channel strip, and then you'll see it right there. Before that said input 5, now it says input 7. And interestingly, there's 2 input 7s. And we don't really need to do that, but that was just for demonstration purposes. So how do you turn this thing off? Well, you want to click on Process, and then you'll see this come up, and you'll want to hit Power Down. Once you do that, it asks you if you want to do it, and you say, yes, I want to do that. And then it gives you this little notice that it's safe to power off, and you just go back to that same switch on the back of the mixer to flip it off. And then you can turn this one off, the black switch. And once that's done, you can see that the lights will turn off, these green lights. And when that final green light is off, that means it's safe. And then it's safe to turn off the red switch. And then you're all powered off. Well, hopefully that was a helpful tutorial of how to run the sound here at Rowandale.